A roaring fire doesn't fear the whispers of the wind. The universe doesn't argue with those who defy its will. It simply erases them. Your enemies scream the loudest when they know they're losing. They scratch, claw, and throw everything at you. Not because they're strong, but because they're desperate. They fight in the only way they know, by trying to break you. But here's the truth. They were never fighting you. They were fighting the force that chose you, and no one wins against the universe. Before we go deeper, take a moment, like and subscribe. The more chosen ones reach this, the stronger our force becomes. Each time you engage, you signal the system that this message must be spread. This is how we gather. This is how we rise. Now let's begin. The world fears the chosen ones, not because of what they see, but because of what they can't control. When you are chosen, you become a disruption, an anomaly, a force that cannot be predicted or restrained. You walk into a room and the air shifts. You exist and their illusions start to crumble. This is why they attack. This is why they whisper. They hope that if they throw enough doubt, enough resistance, enough weight onto your shoulders, you will break under it. But the truth is, a chosen one cannot be broken. You were built to outlast the storm, to rise when no one else could. Got to carry a power that does not bow to anyone. Yet here you are questioning yourself, doubting your own light, whispering to yourself in the dark, wondering if you were wrong, if you were meant to be ordinary. How dare you? How dare you question what the universe has placed in you? How dare you act like you were abandoned when every force in existence is moving in your favor? Your enemies are not just fighting you, they are fighting the very power that created you. The battle was lost for them the moment you were chosen. They want you to react, to waste your energy proving yourself, to be tangled in their games. But the strongest warrior does not fight battles that are already won. You do not engage with those beneath you. You do not answer to those who do not matter. Your silence will be louder than their screams. Your presence alone will be their greatest nightmare, because they cannot stop you, they cannot shake you, and no matter what they do, they cannot erase what the universe has ordained. You don't need to fight them. You need only to step fully into what you are. The moment you do, watch how they disappear. Not because you chase them away, but because they cannot exist in the same space as something greater. The weak always fade in the presence of true power. So stand up, straighten your back. Let them watch, let them whisper, let them scheme. None of it matters. The moment you understand this power, they are already gone. And to you, the one who was never meant to fit in, the one who was built to rise, this message is your signal. If you feel the fire, if you sense the shift, you are exactly where you need to be. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment the number 77 if you're ready to silence enemy forever. Every second you stay strengthens the force pulling you toward your power. And now let's get into it, step by step. If you are truly chosen, you will feel it. You won't be able to look away. Let's begin. Number 1. A king never argues with fools. He lets the throne speak. They screamed. They threw everything at you. Lies, doubts, distractions, hoping something would stick, hoping they could shake you. But the moment you refused to react, they lost. Power isn't about volume. It's about presence. The ocean doesn't need to announce when a storm is coming. A wildfire doesn't ask permission to consume everything in its path. And the universe doesn't stop to explain itself when it shifts in your favor. They were never fighting you. They were fighting the system itself. And the system never loses. They act like they hate you, like they can't stand you. But let's tell the truth. They fear you, not because of what you've done, but because of what you are. Because the moment you walked into the room, they felt it. That shift in energy, that weight of something greater. They saw in you what they will never be, and that eats them alive. Ever wondered why their attacks feel so personal? Why they watch you so closely? Why they try so hard to bring you down? Because they know they can't reach you. Their greatest nightmare isn't your failure, it's your success. They see you moving in silence, untouchable, unshaken, and it kills them, because everything they do is to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. But you don't need an audience. You don't need approval. You exist, and that alone threatens their entire world. A fool thinks they can cheat gravity, that they can jump from a cliff and somehow not fall. Your enemies thought they could manipulate, scheme, and throw obstacles in your way without consequences, but the universe keeps perfect score. They weren't just messing with you. They were challenging the balance of the system itself, and now everything is snapping back into place. Ever notice how they're struggling now? How their own plans are collapsing? How the very traps they set for you are catching them instead? God, that's not karma. That's correction. The universe doesn't need revenge. It simply restores order. And the order is this. God, what was built on lies will crumble. What was built with truth will rise. That's why you don't have to chase justice. Justice is already in motion. They want to see you rage. They want to know what's coming next. But you are unreadable. You are the storm that arrives without warning, the shadow that moves without a sound. A lion doesn't warn before it pounces. A tsunami doesn't negotiate before it crashes. And a true chosen one doesn't waste time explaining, proving, or justifying. You just move. And that's what's killing them. They wanted to drag you into a battle, but you refused to fight a war that's already been won. Instead, you walked away, and nothing haunts them more than your absence. You want to know the greatest revenge: silence, success, watching them self-destruct while you thrive. Because the truth is, they were never your competition. They were never even in the same league. A diamond doesn't beg to be noticed. A hurricane doesn't need permission to change landscapes, and you don't need to explain why you are unstoppable. Look at how far you've come despite every trap, every lie, every betrayal. You weren't supposed to survive, but you did, and that alone makes you the most dangerous force in the game. Your enemies are running out of moves. Meanwhile, you are just getting started. Number 2, the sun doesn't apologize for burning. It just shines. You don't even have to lift a finger. You don't have to say a word. Your existence alone is enough to shake them. They feel it. Before you even walk in, the air changes. Before you even speak, they tense up and they hate it. They hate that you carry something they can't understand, something they'll never have. You don't even try, yet your presence alone makes them uneasy. You are a mirror they never wanted to face. You expose everything they pretend to be. You remind them of everything they lack, and instead of fixing themselves, instead of facing their own weakness, they lash out at you. Why? Because it's easier to hate the sun than to admit you'll never shine like it. They talk about you when you're not around. They throw shade, try to twist your name, try to make you seem smaller. But do you know what that really means? It means they've already lost. A person who is truly powerful doesn't waste time plotting against someone else. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. They are obsessed with you because they feel powerless around you, and it kills them. You don't play by their rules. You don't beg for approval. You don't shrink to make them comfortable, and that is why you are dangerous. They need validation to survive. They need to be liked. They need to be reassured, and you need nothing. Your strength comes from within. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't explain. You simply exist, and that alone makes them panic. They wanted to control you, but you can't cage the wind. They wanted to break you, but you were built like a mountain. They wanted to see you crumble, but they didn't realize you are the storm. And now they are terrified because nothing they do is working. They throw their best attacks at you and you don't flinch. They try to trap you in their games and you don't play. They try to drag you into the mud and you rise above. That silence, that stillness, that calm power that radiates off of you, it eats them alive. They can't understand how you move with so much certainty, how you keep going even when everything was supposed to break you. They don't get how you can be surrounded by enemies and still stand tall. But here's the truth. They were never your real problem. Your presence alone exposes everything false, everything weak, everything that was built on lies, and that is why they fear you. Look at them scrambling, overthinking, desperately trying to figure you out. You don't need to do anything. They are destroying themselves trying to bring you down. Their jealousy is eating them from the inside. Their own insecurities are suffocating them. You were never the one in danger. They were. Because when you are chosen, the universe aligns itself to protect you, to move for you, to remove anything that no longer serves your path. And they were never part of your path. That's why they're falling away. That's why their attacks aren't landing. That's why the harder they try, the more they lose. They wanted to be the storm that destroyed you, but you are the hurricane. Gah, gah. They thought they could control you, but you were never meant to be tamed. They thought you would break, but they didn't realize you are unshakable. And that's why you don't need to fight them. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need revenge. You just need to keep being you, because nothing is more terrifying to them than a chosen one who knows their power. Number 3, a snake always exposes itself. Just wait for the hiss. You never had to go searching for them. You never had to dig through shadows to uncover the ones moving against you. They exposed themselves. They couldn't help it. At first, they played it cool, smiled in your face, pretended to support you. But energy never lies. And when someone stands in the presence of something greater than them, something they cannot control, their mask starts to slip. And that's exactly what happened. Your enemies thought they were hidden, thought they could play both sides, thought they could operate in silence while throwing dirt on your name. But here's the thing. The weight of their own jealousy became too heavy to carry. The pressure of your rise made them crumble under their own insecurities. They wanted to watch you, study you, pick you apart in the background. But the moment you started winning, the moment you moved without looking back, they panicked. And in that panic, they exposed themselves. They started slipping, whispering a little too loud, dropping little hints of resentment, letting their jealousy show through their fake smiles. And before they even realized it, they weren't hiding anymore. They were standing in the open, fully revealed, looking like fools. That's the thing about being chosen. You don't have to seek out enemies. God, you just have to keep moving, and they will reveal themselves every single time. They start watching you too closely, tracking your every move, talking about you more than they talk about their own lives. They spend so much time trying to tear you down that they forget to build themselves up. And soon people notice. What kind of person dedicates their time to trying to destroy someone else? What kind of person moves with that much bitterness? It's not long before everyone sees what they really are. That's the real irony. They think they are hurting you, but they are only exposing themselves. They wanted you to be the villain, but they ended up painting themselves as the weak, bitter ones, the desperate ones, the ones so consumed by envy that they can't even focus on their own path. They didn't just hate your success, they hated your resilience. The way you kept going untouched, unshaken, while they drowned in their own failures. And the more they tried to disrupt you, the worse it got for them, because the truth is the universe will not let them win against you. Every trap they set for you will be the very thing that destroys them. Every lie they tell will be the poison they choke on. God, every bit of energy they waste on you will be the reason they never grow. And you don't have to do anything. God, you don't have to fight them. You don't have to argue. You don't have to expose them. They will do all of that on their own, because their obsession with you is their downfall. They underestimated you. They thought you would play their game. They thought you would lower yourself to their level, but they didn't realize chosen ones don't play with peasants. Chosen ones don't roll in the mud with snakes. Chosen ones don't waste time proving themselves to people who were never on their level to begin with. And that's why they are losing. God, your power comes from knowing who you are and never stepping off your throne. While they are busy running in circles, exhausting themselves with their own jealousy, you are already 10 steps ahead. They can talk, they can gossip, they can scheme. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you are untouchable, and they will be nothing more than a lesson in your story. Number 4, the one who controls your emotions controls you. They wanted you to break, to explode, to beg, because the moment you react, they win. They feed off your energy, off your anger, off your pain. But when you give them nothing, they starve. They call you cold because you refuse to be played. They call you heartless. because you no longer entertain their manipulation. But the truth is, you are free, and that terrifies them. They expected you to chase, to explain, to prove yourself. But you didn't. You stepped back. You disconnected. And now they're losing their minds trying to figure out how they lost control over you. Emotional detachment is the deadliest weapon you can wield. Not because you don't feel, but because you refuse to let feelings make your choices for you. They relied on your emotions to keep you bound, to guilt you into staying, to bait you into reacting, to keep you tangled in their web of chaos. But the moment you stopped responding, the strings snapped, and a puppet without strings is just another useless tool. They never expected you to outgrow them. They never thought you would develop the strength to walk away. And yet, here you are, untouchable, unmoved, watching them fall apart under the weight of their own games. The most dangerous person in the world is the one who cannot be manipulated, and that's exactly who you've become. They throw words at you like knives, hoping you'll bleed, but you don't because you've mastered the art of silence. They wanted you to explain yourself, got to justify your choices, to make them feel better about their own insecurities. But you owe them nothing. The moment you stopped seeking validation, you became a threat. They can't stand that you don't need their approval, that you don't flinch when they insult you, that their absence doesn't shake you. That's why they're still watching, still waiting, still hoping for a reaction. Let them wait. Let them scream. Let them wonder why nothing they do affects you anymore. Because here's the truth. They never had power over you. You just hadn't realized it yet. They controlled you through guilt, through love, through obligation. But once you saw it for what it was, once you chose peace over chaos, their power disappeared, and now they are exposed. Without your energy to feed on, they are left alone with their own emptiness. That's why they lash out. Got why they scramble to get your attention, because they are powerless without you. Walking away isn't weakness, it's power. It's the ability to say, I choose myself. It's the ultimate declaration that you refuse to be manipulated. They will call you selfish. They will say you changed. They will say you are the villain. Let them, because a chosen one never stays in places that drain them. A chosen one never explains their worth. A chosen one moves forward, unshaken, unstoppable, and untouchable. And that's exactly why you've already won. Number 5, a dim flame will always hate the sun. You never had to say a word. You never had to prove anything. Just existing in your truth, in your power, was enough to set them off. They despise you not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. Your confidence makes them question their own hesitation. Your purpose reminds them of how lost they are. God, your authenticity exposes the masks they wear every day, and instead of fixing themselves, instead of facing their own emptiness, they turn that hatred onto you. It burns them to see someone who isn't afraid to walk in their own light. They've spent their whole lives pretending to be happy, pretending to be strong, pretending to have it all together. And then you come along, effortlessly real, and they can't stand it. You don't have to attack them. You don't have to compete. The mere fact that you exist at full power destroys them. That's why they whisper. That's why they gossip. That's why they try to discredit you, twist your name, turn people against you. Because they need you to be small. They need you to doubt yourself. They need you to second-guess your worth. But here's the truth. Their battle isn't with you. It's with themselves. They've spent years running from their reflection, avoiding their own truth, building their identity on things that don't hold weight. And now, standing next to you, all those cracks are showing. So, they do the only thing they know how to do, project their self-hatred onto you. They call you arrogant because they don't understand confidence. They call you lucky because they don't understand discipline. They call you different because they don't understand what it means to be chosen. But let them talk, because nothing they say will change who you are. They want you to dim yourself, to shrink, to make yourself easier for them to handle. But why would you lessen your fire just because they can't handle the heat? Their discomfort is not your problem. If your light blinds them, they can look away. If your energy is too much, they can step aside. But never, never dim yourself to make them comfortable. Because here's the secret. They don't actually hate you. They envy you. They wish they had your clarity, your strength, your ability to stand tall, despite every attempt to break you. They wish they didn't have to live for validation. They wish they could move without fear. But instead of learning from you, they try to destroy you. Because destruction is easier than self-improvement. Let them collapse under the weight of their own envy. Let them drown in their own bitterness. Because while they waste their energy hating you, you are only rising higher. A diamond doesn't apologize for shining. A wildfire doesn't apologize for burning. And you don't apologize for existing at full power. They will either rise to meet you or fade into the background where they belong. Either way, you keep shining. Number 6, a shadow can't stop the sun. It only proves the light exists. They thought they could stop you, thought their words, their schemes, their petty little games would be enough to bring you down. But what they never understood is that you were never fighting the same battle as them. They live for temporary things, attention, approval, power over others. You move with something greater. They fight to be seen while you fight for something eternal. That's why their attacks never worked. That's why, no matter how much noise they made, you kept going because they were never a real threat. Gagai, they were never anything more than a distraction. Enemies come and go, but your purpose remains. Your destiny doesn't crumble because a few weak people tried to stand in your way. A mountain does not fall because the wind screams at it, and that's exactly what they are. Just wind, just noise, just background interference in a story that was never about them. They threw everything at you hoping you'd quit, but they didn't understand the difference between a battle and a war. You were never here for the small fights. You were built for something far beyond their reach. That's why they hate you. Because you keep proving them wrong. Because no matter how much they attack, you are still here. You are still rising. You are still becoming. They don't know what it's like to move with purpose, to be guided by something bigger than ego, bigger than revenge, bigger than petty games. That's why they can't figure you out. That's why they can't stop obsessing over you, because they are temporary. But you are eternal. They didn't realize that their hatred was a waste of time, that the energy they spent plotting against you was only draining them. That's why they look tired. That's why they look bitter. They thought they were tearing you down, but all they did was burn themselves out. While they were focused on you were focused on something greater. While they were running in circles, you were moving forward. That's why you never had to fight them. That's why you never had to prove anything to them. They were never a real obstacle to begin with. They only had the power you gave them. And the moment you stopped caring, the moment you turned your attention back to your mission, they disappeared. The people who try to bring you down are just visitors in your story. Footnotes in a book they'll never understand. They will fade, but your purpose will not. And that's why they fear you, because you will outlast them, because they know that in the end they will be forgotten, but your name will remain. Number 7, a wolf doesn't bark, it strikes. They wanted your words. They wanted your reaction. Because as long as they had your attention, they had a piece of your power. But when you went silent, they panicked. Silence is the deadliest weapon you can wield. Not because it shows weakness, but because it forces them to face themselves. And the truth is, your enemies aren't ready for that. They rely on noise, on distractions, on chaos, on keeping you tangled in pointless battles. They wanted you to explain yourself, to justify your existence, to prove them wrong. But when you said nothing, you became untouchable. Silence confuses them. It frustrates them. It makes them question everything. Why aren't they responding? Why aren't they defending themselves? Why aren't they reacting? They spiral, overthinking every move, drowning in their own paranoia while you remain untouched. That is power. A fool argues. A king observes. A chosen one stays silent and lets the universe answer. They throw words like daggers, but they only cut themselves. They build traps, but walk into them first. They create stories, but expose their own bitterness in the process. And all the while, you say nothing. You don't have to, because your presence alone is enough to shake them. Your silence is louder than their screams. Ever notice how they crumble when they can't get a response out of you? How their insults turn into desperation? How they start slipping, God exposing their jealousy, their insecurities, their fear? That's not an accident. That's the power of silence at work. They can't handle being ignored. They need to know they got to you. They need proof that their words had an impact. But when you don't flinch, when you don't feed their fire, they burn themselves down. And the best part, you never had to lift a finger. Silence forces people to reveal themselves, but to show their true intentions, to expose their weakness. A person who can't handle your silence is a person who was never meant to stand in your presence. Because real power doesn't beg to be acknowledged. It doesn't chase. It doesn't explain itself. A wildfire doesn't need permission to consume everything in its path. A tsunami doesn't apologize before it drowns the shore. And a chosen one never wastes energy on proving their worth to those who were never on their level. Let them wonder. Let them question. Let them sit in the emptiness of their own noise. God, your silence is a mirror, and what they see in it is their own downfall. They wanted war. You gave them nothing, and in that nothingness they destroyed themselves. They expected anger. They got indifference. They expected a fight. They got forgotten. And there is no fate worse for an enemy than realizing they never mattered to you in the first place. Let them talk. Let them scheme. Let them drown in the weight of their own words. Because while they are making noise, you are making moves. And that is why you will always win. Number 8, a caged mind will always hate the one who flies free. Gah, they don't just dislike you. They fear you, not because of what you've done, God, but because of what they cannot do to you. They can't control you. They can't predict you. They can't manipulate you. And that realization shakes them to their core. People who thrive on power, on control, on dominance, on making others bend to their will, crumble in the presence of someone who refuses to submit. They are used to pulling the strings, but you have no strings to pull. They tried to guilt you, tried to make you doubt yourself, tried to lure you into their games, but you never stepped onto their board. You never played by their rules. And now they are left scrambling, desperate to regain a power over you that they never truly had. You see, weak people need control to feel powerful, but real power is self-contained. It does not need validation. It does not need to manipulate. It does not need an audience, and that is why you terrify them. They hate that you can walk away without looking back. They hate that you don't explain yourself, don't justify, don't ask for permission, because that means they never had control over you to begin with. And that's the real fear. Not your strength, but their own weakness. They fear what they cannot control, because without control, they have nothing, no influence, no authority, no power. And so they resort to desperate, pathetic attempts, slandering your name, twisting the story, trying to rally others against you. But even that fails, because the moment you refuse to be controlled, you became untouchable. That's why they talk. That's why they watch. That's why they plot. Because they are powerless to do anything else. A storm does not ask permission to rise. A wildfire does not apologize for burning. A chosen one does not lower themselves to explain their greatness to those who cannot comprehend it. They will hate you for your freedom. They will resent you for your strength. They will choke on the reality that you are everything they could never be. They want you to care. They want you to need their approval, to seek their validation, but you never will, and that's what breaks them the most. They cannot stand that you operate on your own terms, God, that you are not swayed by their whispers, their threats, their lies, that no matter what they throw at you, you remain unshaken. They will call you heartless, cold, arrogant. They will say you've changed, that you think you're better than them. Let them. A lion does not concern itself with the opinions of sheep. You are not meant to be controlled. You are not meant to be tamed. You are not meant to be small, to be silent, to be predictable, and they will hate you for that. They will fear you for that, because the one thing they cannot control is the one thing they cannot defeat, and that is you. Number 9, A caged lion is still a lion, but a freed one is a king. They kept you in chains, not physical ones, but invisible ones. The kind that wrap around your mind, whispering doubt, feeding fear, suffocating your power before it even has a chance to rise. They trained you to seek approval, to wait for permission, to believe that power must be earned through the acceptance of others. That was the first lie. You were never meant to be contained. You were never meant to play small, to shrink yourself so others could feel big, to dim your light so they wouldn't have to squint, but they made you believe you had to. Because a chosen one who has broken free, that's a force no enemy can stop. Unleashing your power begins the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. Think about it. How many times have you held back, swallowed your words, lowered your energy? How many times did you doubt yourself because someone else couldn't handle the magnitude of your presence? They wanted you tamed because an untamed, unleashed version of you destroys everything false. And now, here you are, waking up, realizing that the only thing holding you back was the illusion they created, the illusion that you needed them, that their approval meant something, that you had to move within their rules. But what happens when you realize the cage was never locked? They are terrified because they see it now. The shift in your energy, the way you move differently, the way their words don't touch you anymore. You were once predictable, manageable. Now you are untouchable, and that's the most dangerous thing you could ever be. They built their power off your hesitation, off your self-doubt, off your need to be accepted. But now, you've burned that need to the ground. Now you stand in your own power without apology, without explanation, and without chains. And they don't know what to do because when you stop seeking validation, you become unstoppable. When you stop playing by their rules, you become unbreakable. When you stop asking for permission, you become limitless. You can feel it, can't you? The shift, the moment you stopped waiting, the moment you decided that your power wasn't up for debate, the moment you understood that no one can stand in the way of a chosen one who has broken free. Look around. The ones who doubted you, silent, watching, nervous. The ones who tried to hold you back, scrambling, realizing they can't stop what's already in motion. And that's the beauty of it. They never had power over you. They only had the power you gave them, and now you've taken it back. You were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to live under their rules. You were born to tear down false systems, to walk where others fear, to set fire to anything that tries to contain you. And now you're doing it. Watch how they react. Watch how they panic. Watch how they start whispering, wondering how they lost control of you. They didn't lose control. They never had it to begin with. And now that you see it, now that you know, there is no going back. You are free, and a chosen one who is free is a force no enemy can survive. Number 10. A broken mirror will blame the reflection. They can't stand you, not because you've done anything wrong, but because you remind them of everything they will never be. Your presence alone forces people to see the truth, their weaknesses, their fears, their wasted potential. You don't have to call them out. You don't have to expose them. They do it to themselves. You are a mirror they can't avoid, and that's why they hate you. They wanted to believe they were strong, but when they see you standing tall despite everything thrown at you, it reminds them how easily they break. They wanted to believe they were special, but when they see you move with real purpose, it reminds them they've been running in circles. They wanted to believe they were powerful, but when they see that their words, their jealousy, their attacks don't even make you flinch, God, it reminds them how powerless they truly are. And that's why they fight you, not because of what you've done, Gaga, but because of what you represent. They see you rising, and instead of being inspired, they are enraged, because deep down they know they could have done more. They know they had chances, but they were too lazy, too scared, too weak to take them. So now, instead of fixing themselves, they choose to hate you because you are living proof that they have no excuse. They throw dirt at you, hoping it will cover their own insecurities. They lie about you, hoping it will distract from their own failures. They try to dim your light, hoping it will make their own darkness feel less suffocating. But no matter what they do, they cannot escape the reflection. They talk about you obsessively trying to convince themselves that you are the problem, but all they are doing is revealing their own misery. They are proving, without you lifting a single finger, that they are weak, bitter, God, and lost. And here's the best part. You don't even need to fight back, because the truth is they are destroying themselves. Their envy is eating them alive. Their obsession with you is draining them. Their need to see you fall is keeping them from rising. Meanwhile, you just keep shining. You don't need to argue. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to prove anything to people who have already proven they are beneath you. Because at the end of the day, that your light will keep exposing them. Your success will keep reminding them of their failure. Your strength will keep highlighting their weakness. Your growth will keep making their stagnation unbearable. They can't avoid it. You are everywhere, and that's why they are furious. Because no matter how hard they try to tear you down, they can't look away. They check on you, stalk you, talk about you, even as they claim they don't care. They laugh at your struggles, but they watch your every move. They pray for your downfall, but they never stop looking up at you. You live rent-free in their mind, and the best revenge is giving them nothing, no reaction, no energy, no response, just success. Because nothing hurts them more than knowing you were never competing with them in the first place. So, keep moving, keep rising, keep shining. Let them talk, let them seethe, let them drown in their own reflection. God, because a mirror doesn't apologize for showing the truth, and neither do you. Number 11. God, pressure creates diamonds and fire makes steel. So keep the pressure coming. They thought they could break you. They thought if they threw enough at you, enough lies, enough betrayals, enough obstacles, you would finally crumble. That you would finally give up. But here's what they never understood. You were never meant to break. Every hit they landed, every knife they threw in your back, every trap they set, only made you stronger. They didn't realize that the very storms they sent to destroy you were the same ones shaping you into something indestructible. The more they push, the stronger you become. The more they try, the more they fail. Because every time they thought they had won, you rose again. Every time they were sure you were finished, you came back even harder. They expected you to stay down, to drown in the weight of their attacks. But you are not made of glass. You are made of iron. God, they thought they were weakening you, but all they did was sharpen the weapon. They don't understand why nothing works anymore, why every insult rolls off your back, why every betrayal only makes you move smarter, why every setback only fuels your next move. It's because they don't get it. They don't know what it means to be forged in fire, to be built for the storm. They wanted to see you afraid. They wanted to see you desperate. But all they did was turn you into something they can never defeat. And that's what scares them the most. They tried to take your confidence. Instead, you became fearless. They tried to make you doubt yourself. Instead, you became unshakable. They tried to take your power. Instead, you realized you were unstoppable all along. They wanted you to think you were weak, that you needed their approval, that you needed their validation. But the moment you stopped caring, stopped reacting, stopped explaining, you became the biggest threat they had ever faced. And now they are the ones who are afraid. Afraid of how much stronger you've become, afraid of the fact that you no longer flinch at their attacks, afraid of what you'll do now that you finally see your own power. They can't control you anymore. They can't intimidate you anymore. They can't stop you anymore. And the more they try, the more foolish they look. Because every challenge, every betrayal, every moment they tried to tear you down has only built you into a version of yourself that they can never touch. You've already won. Not because they stopped attacking, but because it doesn't even matter anymore. Their words useless. Their schemes predictable. Their hate irrelevant. They threw fire at you, and you walked out as the fire itself. They sent storms your way, and you became the thunder. They tried to bury you, and they forgot you were a seed. The more they tried to break you, the more unbreakable you became, and now they are the ones crumbling. Number 12. A candle can be blown out, But the sun burns. No matter who hates it, they watch you, study you, obsess over you. They try to figure out why you move the way you do, why nothing seems to touch you, why your presence alone feels like a force too heavy for them to handle. And the truth is, it's not you they fear. It's their own weakness in the face of your power. They want to believe you're just like them, that you're ordinary, that you can be rattled, broken, or controlled. But you are not them, and that's what eats them alive. Your energy is something they will never understand. It cannot be touched, stolen, or reduced. It is yours and yours alone. They can mimic your words, copy your style, even try to replicate your success. But they will never hold the essence of what makes you you, and they know it. That's why they talk. That's why they scheme. That's why they try to find cracks in your armor, hoping there's some hidden weakness they can exploit. But all they find is a wall too high to climb, a fire too strong to put out. They are afraid. Afraid that no matter what they do, they will never reach your level. Afraid that no matter how hard they try to diminish you, you will only rise higher. They throw shade hoping it will dim your light, but what they don't realize is your energy doesn't need approval, doesn't need permission. It doesn't bend to the opinions of the weak. You could disappear for months, say nothing, do nothing, and they would still feel your presence. That's the level of power you hold. You don't have to prove yourself. You are proof, and it kills them. They watch you from the shadows hoping for your downfall, but all they see is a force they cannot touch. Because your energy is not physical. It is not something that can be taken, broken, or manipulated. It is something they will fear until their last breath. Have you ever noticed how their attempts to destroy you always backfire? How their bitterness always circles back and poisons them instead? That's not luck. That's law. The universe does not reward envy. It does not uplift the ones who move in deception. God, it restores balance. And balance means that everything meant for you will always be yours. They can whisper, they can plot, they can rally against you. But they will never be able to sit where you sit. They will never carry the energy you carry, because this path was never meant for them. They tried to shrink you with their doubts. They tried to bury you under their words. But all they did was make you indestructible. And now they are haunted not by what you've done, but by what they failed to do. They had the same time, the same chances, the same opportunities. But instead of growing, they focused on watching you. Instead of building, they focused on destroying, and now they have nothing to show for it. Your energy was never in danger. The only thing ever at risk was their illusion of control. So let them fear you. Let them whisper. Let them wait for your downfall, because they will be waiting forever, and that's the truth. They were never a real threat. They feared you, envied you, and tried to bring you down. God, but in the end your energy remained untouchable. No matter how hard they fought, they were only fighting against themselves. You were built to rise, to lead, to dominate, and nothing they do will ever change that. If you feel this truth in your soul, show your presence. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, drop the number 77 in the comments, and share this with another chosen one. The more we rise, the louder the universe speaks. Keep moving. Keep winning. I don't like revenge, because once I start, even Devil himself will sit down and take notes.